Welcome back everyone, Brandon here at Slingmods.com, and today we'll be showing you how to install our thermal research and development dual rear exit touring exhaust system for the Polaris Slingshot. Now if you clicked on this video in hopes of hearing how this exhaust might sound, or were looking for an in-depth overview of this exhaust, we actually have a separate video for that, which I'll link for you in the description below. This video, however, is meant as a guideline on how to install the thermal touring exhaust system from start to finish. So let's jump right in and get started. Start by removing these 4 T40 Torx bolts that secure your fender panel to the frame. Then you can go through and start removing the stock exhaust springs that secure the exhaust to the frame and catalytic converter. Now if you have a spring puller, now would be a great time to use it, but if not, vice grips will work just as well. Next, you can remove your stock exhaust through the side fender. And if you seem to be having difficulties, go through and remove a couple more of those T40 Torx from the side fender panel. Next, you can attach these exhaust springs to your new exhaust. Then carefully slide the exhaust down into position and onto the donut gasket. Then attach the exhaust springs to the loops on the cat, before going through and attaching the rest of the springs to your frame. Next, you'll need to take a 10mm socket and loosen this water hose clamp from the frame. And just slide it over and out of the way for now. Now take the water hose relocator bracket from the kit and mount it up to the original water hose clamp location, leaving it loose enough to move from left to right. Then you can slide the clamp back over and with a 4mm Allen wrench, firmly attach it to the new bracket, but not too tight. This will lift the pipe up just enough so you can fit the exhaust through. You'll also want to work the pipe towards the front of the vehicle for maximum clearance on the rear. Now make sure you leave a little bit of space, about 1/8 of an inch, between the water hose and the bell housing of the transmission, making sure they don't touch before tightening down the bolts completely. Next, you'll need to cut off about 1/2 inch off both these transmission mount bolts in order to create enough clearance to remove the transmission mount after we loosen the bolts and jack up the transmission. Then take a 15mm socket to remove those nuts, followed by the 2 nuts and bolts holding the transmission to the mount. Then jack the transmission all the way up until you feel it hit the top of the tunnel. Remove these 4 15mm bolts holding the perch to the transmission. Slide out the factory casted perch, followed by the mount with the studs we cut off. Now take the new mount and bolt it up to the transmission, reusing the same 4 bolts from the factory perch. And tighten those back down to your factory torque settings. Then use the 2 new nuts and bolts from the kit to secure the mount to the frame. Slightly lower the jack holding the transmission before tightening them down the rest of the way. Now you can remove your jack and slide on the second section of pipe with the 3 exhaust bolts and a gasket in between it and the muffler. Then add a flat washer and nut to all 3 bolts. and tighten those down nice and snug. Next, measure 1 5/8 inches on the end of that pipe we just installed on the muffler and mark a line. Slide on your 2-inch compression clamp from the kit to the line we just marked with the hardware facing down and the nuts facing the driver's side. Then take your white pipe and slide it over the frame into the open end of the compression clamp so that it makes contact with the other pipe inside the clamp, making sure not to let the clamp itself slide past the mark we made on the first pipe. Now take the 10mm hardware and insert it into the back tab of the white pipe, bolting the exhaust pipe to the transmission mount. But don't snug it all the way down just yet. Next, you can mount up the hangers to the rear chassis of the Slingshot, finger tight for now. And on the passenger side, you may need to slightly bend the brake line out of the way to make room for the bracket. Next, you can take the passenger side exhaust tip and add a clamp to the end. Spray a little soapy water into the rubber mount, and then slide that exhaust tip hanger through the mount and into the white pipe before tightening down the clamp, attaching the tip to the white pipe. And then repeat that same process for the driver's side. Spray a little soapy water into the rubber mount. Slide that exhaust tip hanger through the mount and into the white pipe. Then tighten down that clamp, attaching the tip to the white pipe. Now you can go through starting at the exhaust tips and tighten down all your hardware little by little while checking the position of your exhaust tips after every section, making sure that there's 1/2 inch space between the tips and the body panels. All right, now that your thermal exhaust system is installed, the only thing left to do is get out there and ride. Now, if you'd like to see more videos like this, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so I can keep you up to date on everything Slingshot. I'm Brandon signing out. Until next time.